In what is likely not a surprise to you, the elitist that used to run and found Abercrombie and Fitch has been arraigned on a myriad of purely evil charges related to the exploitation of people that just came in to work at a job. That's right. And you can imagine what I'm talking about when I say the word trafficking or when I say the word selling of people. You get it. That's kind of what's going on here. We've got to cover it in detail. So let's hop into an article from an authoritative source, the AP. Here we go. Ex-Abercrombie and Fitch head to be arraigned on trafficking and selling people charges, or maybe soliciting people charges. Anyway, regardless, he's done some very bad deeds and he's being called on the carpet for them. Further into the story from Philip Marcello, we have the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch is expected to be arraigned Friday on federal trafficking and interstate bad dealing of selling people charges in a New York court. The prosecutors allege that for nearly 2 decades, that's an awful long time, Michael Jeffries and his romantic partner and a third man lured men into taking part in intimate parties by dangling the promise of modeling for the clothing retailer, once famous for its preppy, all-American aesthetic and marketing with shirtless male models. Well, now you understand why. In charges announced earlier this week, prosecutors say some 15 unnamed accusers were induced by force, fraud, or coercion to engage in a drug-fueled intimacy party in New York, England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's between 2008 and 2015. During the events, the men were sometimes directed to wear costumes, use intimate toys, and endure painful, tumescent-inducing injections, according to the indictment. That sounds incredibly unpleasant and very dangerous, not to mention the fact that all of this was incredibly illegal. And it just sounds more like these elitist parties that have been getting out of control. Isn't it odd that each of these elites that get nailed for this are all kind of engaging in the same types of behavior? Of course not. It's across every single industry at this point at the higher levels. Well, not every industry, but obviously entertainment, obviously in the clothes area, obviously in just the business of selling that to people. I mean, you can't forget the island boy, right? Nor the fact that they're unable to attach people that they would love to these kinds of issues. They just seem to find their own wallowing in them, which is why it's surprising when outlets like AP actually cover something like this. But I digress, and we need to continue. The allegations echo the misconduct allegations described in media reports and made in a civil case against Jeffries, who left Abercrombie in 2014. Well, the parties continued, though, didn't they? Jeffries' attorney didn't immediately respond to an email seeking comment for the AP, obviously, ahead of the afternoon appearance in federal court on Long Island, which is probably where he is right now, where he's going to be expected to enter a plea on the charges. Well, of course, you either plead guilty or not guilty. It's not that difficult. I imagine he'll probably avoid the word of, yes, I'm guilty, and probably enter more of the I'm not guilty. A lawyer for James Jacobson, an employee of Jeffries, also due to be arraigned, declined to comment other than to say his client will be pleading not guilty. Well, there you have it. Jeffries was released on a $10 million bond after appearing in federal court in West Palm Beach, Florida on Tuesday. Wow. And we're just now learning about this a couple days ago. Crazy. His partner, Matthew Smith, who also appeared in court in Florida, was ordered detained after prosecutors raised concern that the dual U.S.-British citizen might flee the country. Well, yeah, it's a very real possibility. Jacobson, who prosecutors say recruited men for the intimate parties, was arrested in Wisconsin and released on a $500,000 bond during his initial appearance in federal court in St. Paul, Minnesota. Notice how this is happening all over the country, wherever these people are found. Jeffries took over as CEO for Abercrombie in 1992, presiding over the evolution of the company from its roots as a hunting and outdoor goods store founded in Manhattan in 1892 to a fixture of teen mall culture during the early 2000s. Abercrombie, in a statement posted on Instagram after the arrest, said it was appalled and disgusted by the allegations. Now, mind you, this wasn't their current CEO, who has managed to try to rebuild the business after the disaster it was left in when Jeffries left the company. The Ohio based company, which owns the clothing brand Hollister, said it has transformed its brands and culture in the decades since Jeffries departed. Decades or decade? Decade. I misread it. Abercrombie stopped using the sexualized photos in marketing materials and ended the practice of calling staffers models. It hired an outside law firm last year to conduct an independent investigation into similar allegations against Jeffries. Speaking up and coming forward is not easy, and our thoughts remain with those who have bravely raised their voices as part of the federal investigation. That's a note that the company wrote in a Wednesday statement. We have zero tolerance for bad behavior or discrimination of any kind, and we are committed to fully cooperating with law enforcement as the legal process continues. Well, good. But I have to ask, are any of you actually surprised? I don't think I am. I would be surprised if I was surprised. This type of thing seems to be happening in many, many different places. It's often tied to large corporations or the broader entertainment markets. We've seen people who are entertainers, sports folks, musicians, and sometimes politicians. There's a whole list of people that nobody wants to release for the kind of backlash that would arise. The exposure of so many high profile people would be detrimental to the systems that they maintain. Well, my argument has always been, so what? Let it go. Let people understand just how many of these powerful people are involved in some of these terrible, terrible things. I think it would actually help us make better decisions in choosing leaders and in idolizing anybody in the celebrity and or sports entertainment. I think we would be more well informed and we would make better decisions with where to spend our money. But I think that's the whole point. They don't want you informed, they want you in the dark so they can continue to, well, undermine and or direct culture wherever they see fit. I think we'd also be surprised at how many in the financial industries have been involved in this type of behavior or practice, and maybe even in some of these high profile stings and exposures that we've seen recently. But hey, that's what I think. What do you think? It's audience participation time. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And notice that this video is not monetized, and that's for a reason, which means I need you to share it out there across all your social media and even in your community tabs on YouTube. We need to get this message far and wide because these videos are not going to perform the same way as others on this or other platforms. Because why? Well, they want to, tuck them under the surface. They aren't comfortable with this kind of exposure, and it's easier just to censor. So please help me out. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands because it's good hygiene. And until next time, see ya.